911. It's a number dialed over 240 million times each year. In all cases, those cries for help are answered by trained professionals, and many of them are NENA certified ENPs. Let's talk to one of them, unedited and completely off the cuff.
Are you positive he's breathing?
No.
Okay, and he's blue?
Yeah.
Okay, then there's a good chance he's not breathing. Is there somebody else there that can do CPR?
Oh my God.
911, what's your emergency?
NENA, the National Emergency Number Association, and an ANSI-approved standards development organization, has created the Emergency Number Professional Accreditation, specifically for public safety professionals. ENP certification establishes the benchmark for performance, signifying a broad-based competence in the public safety field. Successful certification completion demonstrates an individual's mastery of the knowledge base requirements for an emergency management position. So join me as we talk to yet another new ENP, unedited and completely off the cuff. Hey, it's Fletch. I'm Northeast Regional Director at NENA, the 911 Association. Welcome to another episode of Off the Cuff, True Confessions of an ENP. Today we're sitting down with brand new ENP, Chris Laymon from the McKinney Texas Police Department. Chris, you take care of a lot of stuff down there, not just PD, but the entire municipality. That's a lot of people.
Yeah, we take care of everything from the police to the fire departments. We also do parks. We do public works, all the guys that work on streets. And we also cover the McKinney National Airport.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool. I haven't really interviewed somebody that's taken care of an airport before. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, our airport actually has an interface system with our fire department that allows them to instantly tone out the ARF truck from the closest station nearby. And all that requires radio interface. So that falls on my department.
So, Chris, what do you find with your job that Next Gen 911 is going to make your job either more difficult or more easy?
NG 911, I think, will make the entire field a little bit more streamlined when it gets in place completely. But as it currently stands, it feels like a lot of agencies have it, and then the one time you need someone else to have it, they don't yet, or they have part of it. As far as the radio side of it goes, where I'm working nowadays, I don't think it's going to massively impact my job, positive or negative, but I have to work with our dispatchers on the floor. I have the office right next to the comm center. And, there are days that I look at what they're doing, and you look at that screen, and that NG911 dump of information is incredibly helpful to get that call out as quickly as possible. And I think it's only going to get better.
So even though you're in radio, you're no stranger to the 911 center. As you and I were talking before the podcast, you've got a pretty deep history in 911.
Yeah, that's correct. I started in 2013 in the Brazos County Emergency Communications District. That's down in Bryan, Texas. And I did 5 years there, thinking I was only going to do 1 year. I had just graduated the fire academy, and I had to find something to do between now, when I graduated, and when the next testing was to join the fire department. So I told myself, all right, I got to do something in emergency services. I'm pretty good with computers. Let's try dispatch. So I did that, and then I stayed, and I did 5 years there. And then I decided to move up closer to family in Dallas-Fort Worth. And so I moved to the city of Allen. And I did dispatch with the city of Allen for 5 years, everything from a comms tech all the way up to a trainer and then a team lead. I was the de facto supervisor on the floor during the May 6th mass shooting event at the Allen Outlet Mall. And about that time after that event, I was looking at everything going on in my life, and I needed something that wasn't quite shift work anymore. And that's when I found this radio service job with the McKinney Police Department. And I've been here for only a couple months now, but about 10 and a half years of experience on the comm center floor. And I don't regret any of it.
So, Chris, having worked a mass shooting event, what kind of technology do you think that's available today that you wish you would have had back then that would have maybe made a difference today?
That is a question that's a little difficult to answer because Alan had every bit of technology you could have ever wanted. It was the ability to find the time to use it that was really the issue. We had a mass paging system where we could just send text to anybody in a certain area of the city. Didn't have time to log in. We had paging systems to get more employees to come help us, and we used that, but we ran into some technical issues with it. We had every radio channel to every city around us you'd ever want to talk to. We didn't have all of their encryption keys, or we didn't have, some of them had an issue communicating with us. So it's less about what tech was missing and more about getting the tech to work when you need it to and having everyone in that room proficient with it, so it's like second nature.
You know, it really doesn't matter how many letters you have behind the end of your name. When you are thrust into that kind of situation, just off the cuff on the fly, and you have to start making those life-changing decisions for people on the other end of the phone, man, I'll tell you, I give you all the credit in the world for being able to handle that, man.
Yeah, we had all the tech we could ever want. And what we really ended up relying on was just, it sounds corny, but good old fashioned teamwork. There were 4 dispatchers on the floor when that event occurred: a call taker with a trainee, myself, and as backup call taker, and then a radio dispatcher and an NCIC/fire dispatcher. And the radio dispatcher was in the bathroom when it started, of course. And when she came back, she took over that channel. And then there were just 2 of us for the first 15, 20 minutes to answer everything on the phones because I didn't want the radio people answering the phones. They had another job to do. And our calls got policy routed everywhere. They went to cities that aren't even on our policy routing system, and we don't know how they got that far, but they did. And we paged people to come in. We eventually had 6 people in the room and 3 others in another office working some admin lines and everything they could. But it really just all came down to coming together and pushing through that event. I mean, we took hundreds of phone calls, and it was the only time in my career that I can remember on 911 hanging up on people. That's a thing you don't do, especially in Allen. We stayed on the line with people anytime they said they wanted to stay on the line unless a big event came up. That was the only day in my career where I had to tell people I have to go, and then I had to hang up on them before they could ask me anything else because you're not hurt, you're not with someone that's hurt. I know you're scared, but I'm sorry, the next person might be hurt. And that was the biggest day of my career, I would say. And it's something I'll remember forever, that's for sure.
Nope, that's fantastic, man. I don't know what to say. So let me ask you, Chris, your ENP, what kind of difference is that going to make in your career, do you think?
I think the ENP for me was a long time goal that I've had for quite a while now. It started probably before I even moved to the Metroplex that I wanted to get that certification. I wanted to get that title. I wanted to get that knowledge base. And in my current job, it's not so much telecoms anymore as much as it is radio, but the information that you receive on how to be a leader, how to be a manager, how to run a team, how to effectively communicate, and a lot of the background stuff that while I may not interact with it, I need to know it's there to effectively do my job. I think all of it added together as a knowledge base is invaluable. You can't put a price on it. It's worth every minute, every hour of work you put into it. And there were a lot of hours put into studying. That manual is dense with information.
So let me ask you, Chris, from the test perspective, what did you think about the overall depth of the test? There's different areas, and obviously one of those is communications and radios. And, I'm sure you just skated through all of that. Why are they asking this silly stuff? This is child's play. But overall, what did you think of the depth and the scope of that test as far as really testing your knowledge base?
Well, I did the online exam instead of the in-person one, and I found that to be a very positive experience. It was a bit interesting having to display the entirety of the room I was in to the proctor to make sure there were no electronic devices anywhere and everything. But once I got into it, time just kind of flies. You're sitting there just answering these questions, hammering down on all the information that you've taken in over the last months or even, year or longer that you've been studying. And the questions themselves, I found myself a little amused with just you'd get one that's just, here are 4 things. Which one of these is an example of negligent retention? And then the next question has 4 acronyms and is written like a paragraph. And the test itself, I mean, it tells you in the book, you expect this percentage of the test to be technical, this percentage to be managerial. And I'd say that it felt like that matched up perfectly as y'all had it laid out. The technical questions got me a little bit when I got my full scorecard in from y'all this week, but the test was difficult, but not to the point where I would say that studying really hard and focusing it's really what most people should need. I know y'all have those great groups that meet online as well, the study groups. I didn't get a chance to participate in those. They were always while I was at work. But I've heard from other people who have done them that they helped greatly for the kind of learners they were. I'm more of a take notes and reread my notes over and over again kind of learner. I know a lot of people have to have conversation to really lock things in their mind.
Yeah, the study groups, I think there's probably 4 major study groups. And the unique thing about those is if you look at each one of those, and they're all free, so I know people that take several of them, but if you look at each one of them, each individual person teaches just a little bit differently. Tracy likes to take complex topics and relate them to things that are totally non-public safety related, but you already know and understand, and then show you the correlation. Other courses like to go into nitty-gritty details. Other courses just bombard you with documentation. So there's a little bit there across the board for everybody, and the trick is to find the one or ones that cater to how you best learn so you can ultimately absorb the information. Let me ask you, Chris, what did you think right before you were ready to hit that submit question, or the submit button, I should say, and see if you passed or failed? What did you feel? How did you think you did overall on that?
I called my wife immediately afterwards. I told her I was done, and she asked how I did, and I told her I'm pretty sure that I'm right at the pass-fail line. I don't know if it's above or below it, but there were enough questions where I was second-guessing myself that I'm concerned. And then when I got my actual scorecard back, I wasn't at the pass-fail line. I was above it further than I thought I would be. But throughout the exam, I was just looking at some questions going, oh my God, I know I can only miss X number of these, and this one's going to get me. And I don't know how many of those did, but I was genuinely concerned after I finished taking it. But I get that way after tests. I always go with my first answer, but you always wonder if you should have changed it.
Right. So listen, no pressure. You don't have to do this, but you can if you want to. What was your score range-wise? Just a rough estimate. What was your range on your test, and how did you feel when you got your actual number there back?
Yeah, I ended up getting 122 out of 150.
So that's actually a good, solid, probably on the high end of the average scores. The test is not designed to be easy and just passable by everybody. It's designed to test your knowledge base across all of those different areas. And the questions are designed specifically to be difficult. And we take the easy questions, and each year when we review the question bank, we throw out the easy ones or make them harder, so that we are, in fact, testing your knowledge. So when you walk out of there and you take all the blankets off your TVs and you finally get your score, you feel like you've done something. And, have you gotten any respect? Have you felt the respect that you've gotten now that you've got those 3 letters behind your last name? Because you're going to notice that probably from ENPs the most.
I would say that the people I work with directly, the other 2 radio technicians, they've heard of it. They know that it takes a lot of work to get it, and they know that only one other person at the most departments tend to have it. But I don't think they understand the full depth of what went into that process. On the other side of the people I work with, the office next to me, that being the dispatchers, the comm manager, all that, they absolutely recognize it. One of the dispatch supervisors right now actually asked me for my copy of my ENP study manual. She wants to get on that train going next, and I'm happy to help her in any way I can. At my prior comm center, I still keep in contact with several people there. They very much know what it means, and they're very excited that I was able to pull it off. More than anything, I'm just excited that I got it done on the first test attempt. Going through all that again, while is something I would do if I had to, it's not something I would greatly look forward to doing again, to be honest with you. It was just a lot of time and effort, and in this new role, I don't really have as much time to just be at a desk and be able to study a book like that. I'm up at 4:30 in the morning every day now. I'm home at 4:30 in the evening, and then I got to make dinner for the family, do family stuff, clean up, do yard work, and then go to bed and reset all over again. So I think I got it at the perfect time in my life to have that time to be able to study, to be in the environment where I can pick up on the necessary details just on shift working. I could talk with my comm manager, who was also an ENP. I could talk to her about, what does this mean to you? How do you interpret this? And I think everything just kind of fell into place exactly as needed.
Well, the thing is once you pass, not only have you proven your knowledge and skills across the base that we require, but every 4 years, you either need to retest or you need to collect enough points out of activities that proves you are active in the industry. And based on that activity, we know you're current with the current technology. You're staying with it. You haven't lost those skills. And people understand that. So, when you see people and they know that you've taken that ENP, it's a badge of honor that you get to wear with those folks. And they know what it was. They know what you've gone through, and they know what you've continued to go through to not only get, but maintain that going forward. And that's what I think makes the certification so special in itself.
Well, I really regret not being able to go to the NENA conference this year. Orlando's just a bit far for me, and I don't exactly have the vacation time built up yet, having just started in this new position. But I went to the one in Grapevine last year, and you just saw circles of people all wearing the polos or with badges on, and they were just all talking to one another no matter where they were from. They had one tying bond in common. They all passed this grueling process, and they're all acknowledging each other as leaders in the industry.
Well, you've now got something that's going to pretty much last your whole career. And what you're going to experience is you're going to move into this mentoring phase where new ENPs are going to come to you and start looking up to you for that overall mentoring. And, what do I do to get mine? And it's part of your job to give that mentoring and, pay it forward, so to speak. This is part of the reason why I believe that this certification is so recognized across the industry. A lot of work actually goes into that test. It's given 4 times a year. We have 2 forms, 2 sets of 150 questions. Every year, the NENA Institute Board sits down and takes both tests. We look at every question, every answer. We look at the statistics of past performance. Is the question too easy? Is the question too hard? We try to shoot for a number that's right around that 70 to 80% pass-fail mark to know we've got a good, solid test that's not just a go in and take it and you're done, but it is passable with study. But we look at the stats and, the analytics behind all that is done by a professional testing company. That's actually their name, PTC, Professional Testing Corporation. And they provide a lot of information back on the question performance and the monitoring and what's the profile of who's getting what's right, who's getting what's wrong. And if you look at them, they do a lot of pilots, paramedics, and a lot of those proctored type exams. And matter of fact, most of the cost of the fee that you pay goes to pay for that. But at the end of the day, it was a good investment for us because we know we've got a product that's doing what it was supposed to do. And we've delivered a good test that was a tough test. And we end up with people that are truly certified. And I think that's why, in the end of the day, when you've got that pass, you really got that sense of pride. Damn right, I earned it.
No, absolutely. And I do think that it brings a lot of value to the fact that you can have those letters after your name and show immediately you have a certain knowledge base. They don't need to ask your full credentials and yada, yada, yada. They know that you've done a lot of work to get that. And that means that you are at least a professional in just the telecoms field, if not management, personnel, everything else. And I've actually, I'm part of multiple volunteer teams. I do the Texas Emergency Response Team, the TERT Team.
Yep.
I'm still on that now, even though I'm not technically on the floor. I'm still part of the team, and I hold my telecom certs still. I'm keeping those active in my current role. And then I'm also part of Team Rubicon, which is another disaster relief team, although that one's a little more hands-on. Having this certification, along with everything else I've had, has allowed me to be kind of listed as a comms expert. If something comes up in a disaster situation and they need radios, they need hard lines set up, things like that, they don't need to ask, are you sure you know how to do that?
Well, thanks so much for spending about a half hour with me, Chris. It's been a real pleasure, and I learned quite a bit. Congratulations on your brand new ENP. Chris Laymon, Radio Systems Specialist for McKinney Texas Police Department. Brand new ENP, taking care of all the municipalities' radio systems, and a brand new mentor for everybody who wants to be an ENP down in McKinney. Thanks very much for being on the podcast. Hope to see you soon at a conference.
Thanks so much for having me this morning. It was great to talk to you, and always happy to share experiences. I'll keep an eye out for y'all anywhere I go.
Well, that wraps up this episode of Off the Cuff, Confessions of an ENP. I'm Mark Fletcher, ENP, and I'm the Vice President of Public Safety Solutions at 911 Inform. Off the Cuff is sponsored by 911 Inform, delivering next-generation 911 solutions to the enterprise today and making every second count. Visit them on the web at 911inform.com. Remember, you can follow me on Twitter at Fletch911. Check out all my blogs and podcasts at Fletch.tv. And be sure to like and subscribe below. That way you'll be immediately notified whenever a new podcast is published. Thanks so much for listening. If you're in public safety, thanks for what you do. Take care and have a great day.